Firstly, 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 I would like to thank everyone who came to my party. Firstly, I would like to thank everyone who came to my party. Secondly, to start with, we haven't enough money, and secondly, we're too busy. To start with, we haven't enough money, and secondly, we're too busy. Previously, the building had previously been used as a hotel. The building had previously been used as a hotel. Entirely. I don't think you are being entirely truthful. I don't think you are being entirely truthful. Quite. I enjoyed her new book, though it's not quite as good as her last one. I enjoyed her new book, though it's not quite as good as her last one. Carefully. Check the peaches carefully before you buy them. Check the peaches carefully before you buy them. Everywhere. Everywhere looks so grey and depressing in winter. Everywhere looks so grey and depressing in winter. Suddenly, he found himself awake and fully alert. Suddenly, he found himself awake and fully alert. Badly. The warehouse has been badly damaged by fire. The warehouse has been badly damaged by fire. Immediately. Mix in the remaining ingredients and serve immediately. Mix in the remaining ingredients and serve immediately. Easily. The knife easily cut into the chocolate cake. The knife easily cut into the chocolate cake. Maybe. Maybe you were right after all. Maybe you were right after all. Usually. They usually get together once a month. They usually get together once a month. Unusually. There was an unusually high number of entries in the competition. There was an unusually high number of entries in the competition. Definitely. This book will definitely appeal to teenagers and young adults. This book will definitely appeal to teenagers and young adults. Slowly. He made his way slowly through the forest. He made his way slowly through the forest. Extremely. She's extremely well qualified for the job. She's extremely well qualified for the job. Actually, actually. He looks young, but he's actually 50 years old. He looks young, but he's actually 50 years old. Eventually, eventually. I presume that an agreement will eventually be reached. I presume that an agreement will eventually be reached. Finally, finally. We finally managed to get there in time. We finally managed to get there in time. Almost, almost. Most spiders weave webs that are almost invisible. Most spiders weave webs that are almost invisible. Already, already. I've already looked there. It must be somewhere else. I've already looked there. It must be somewhere else. Kindly, kindly. Kindly step this way, ladies and gentlemen. Kindly step this way, ladies and gentlemen. Often, often. How often do you wash your hair? How often do you wash your hair? Sometimes, sometimes. The tennis court is sometimes used as a car park. The tennis court is sometimes used as a car park. Briefly, briefly. We stopped off briefly in London on our way to Paris. We stopped off briefly in London on our way to Paris. Quickly, quickly. He quickly scooped the money up from the desk. He quickly scooped the money up from the desk. Never, never. The singer had never performed in New York before. The singer had never performed in New York before. Frequently, frequently. They frequently hold conferences at that hotel. They frequently hold conferences at that hotel. However, however, he can answer the question however hard it is. He can answer the question however hard it is. Clearly, clearly. The audience was clearly enchanted by her performance. The audience was clearly enchanted by her performance. Quietly, quietly. He would sit quietly and watch what was happening. He would sit quietly and watch what was happening. Fortunately, fortunately. Fortunately, the train was on time. Fortunately, the train was on time. Unfortunately, unfortunately. I like cats, but unfortunately, I'm allergic to them. I like cats, but unfortunately, I'm allergic to them. Politely, politely. He responded politely to her questions. He responded politely to her questions. Exactly, Exactly. I've forgotten where they live exactly. I've forgotten where they live exactly. Closely. Closely. Council officers are liaising closely with local groups. Council officers are liaising closely with local groups. Deliberately. Deliberately. She has been deliberately left off the guest list. She has been deliberately left off the guest list. Safely. Safely. I was pleased to hear you arrived home safely. I was pleased to hear you arrived home safely. Instantly. Instantly. They fell for each other instantly. They fell for each other instantly. Successfully. Successfully. The project has now been successfully completed. The project has now been successfully completed. Fairly. Fairly. She seems fairly settled in her new job already. She seems fairly settled in her new job already. Unfairly. Unfairly. He claims to have been unfairly dismissed. He claims to have been unfairly dismissed. Truly. Truly. On her wedding day, the bride looked truly radiant. On her wedding day, the bride looked truly radiant. Thoroughly. Thoroughly. Wet your hair thoroughly before applying the shampoo. Wet your hair thoroughly before applying the shampoo. Naturally. Naturally. Naturally, I get upset when things go wrong. Naturally, I get upset when things go wrong. Unnaturally. Unnaturally. She spoke in an unnaturally high voice. She spoke in an unnaturally high voice. Urgently. Urgently. Call me urgently if you have anything to report. Call me urgently if you have anything to report. Ideally. Ideally. The company is ideally placed to win the contract. The company is ideally placed to win the contract. Presumably. Presumably. You'll be taking the car, presumably. You'll be taking the car, presumably. Seriously. Seriously. She was seriously contemplating working abroad. She was seriously contemplating working abroad. Apparently. Apparently. Apparently, the company is losing a lot of money. Apparently, the company is losing a lot of money. Surprisingly. Surprisingly. The weather was surprisingly warm and sunny. The weather was surprisingly warm and sunny. Indeed. Indeed. It is indeed a remarkable achievement. It is indeed a remarkable achievement. Soon, soon. I hope you will soon find your lost ring. I hope you will soon find your lost ring. Currently, currently. We are currently studying all the options available. We are currently studying all the options available. Rarely, rarely. Teenagers and their parents rarely agree. Teenagers and their parents rarely agree. Occasionally, occasionally. We occasionally meet for a drink after work. We occasionally meet for a drink after work. Literally, literally. Until my next payday, I was literally without any money. Until my next payday, I was literally without any money. Slightly, slightly. I was slightly tanned by the sun. I was slightly tanned by the sun. Generally, generally. We generally go to the coast for our holidays. We generally go to the coast for our holidays. Repeatedly, repeatedly. They repeatedly questioned his leadership abilities. They repeatedly questioned his leadership abilities. Totally, totally. She totally lost her composure and began shouting. She totally lost her composure and began shouting. Again, again. I'll never ever do that again. I'll never ever do that again. Accidentally, accidentally. My father accidentally locked me out of the house. My father accidentally locked me out of the house. Honestly, honestly. Please tell me what you honestly think. Please tell me what you honestly think. Eagerly, eagerly. They eagerly accepted my offer of hospitality. They eagerly accepted my offer of hospitality. Mostly, mostly. This area of the country is mostly desert. This area of the country is mostly desert. Happily, happily. The children were playing happily with their toys. The children were playing happily with their toys. Angrily, angrily. Local residents have reacted angrily to the news. Local residents have reacted angrily to the news. Enormously, enormously. My tastes have changed enormously over the years. My tastes have changed enormously over the years. Reasonably, reasonably. I can be reasonably precise about the time of the incident. I can be reasonably precise about the time of the incident. Oddly, oddly. She's been behaving oddly this week. She's been behaving oddly this week. Patiently, patiently. The driver sat patiently behind the wheel. The driver sat patiently behind the wheel. Strictly, strictly. Smoking in the cinema is strictly prohibited. Smoking in the cinema is strictly prohibited. Technically, technically. It is still technically possible for them to win. It is still technically possible for them to win. Loudly, loudly. Don't say that kind of thing so loudly. Don't say that kind of thing so loudly. Hardly, hardly. My fingers were so numb I could hardly write. My fingers were so numb I could hardly write. Painfully, painfully. I scraped my knee painfully on the concrete. I scraped my knee painfully on the concrete. Foolishly, foolishly. Foolishly, I didn't write the phone number down. Foolishly, I didn't write the phone number down. Simply, simply. He made me an offer I simply couldn't refuse. He made me an offer I simply couldn't refuse. Significantly, significantly. Oil prices fluctuated significantly during October. Oil prices fluctuated significantly during October. Vastly, vastly. The quality of the training has vastly improved. The quality of the training has vastly improved. Neatly, neatly. The squares of fabric were all sewn neatly together. The squares of fabric were all sewn neatly together. Wholly, wholly. In my opinion, the decision was wholly justified. In my opinion, the decision was wholly justified. Nicely, nicely. The car gets me there nicely in time for work. The car gets me there nicely in time for work. Truthfully, truthfully. I answered all their questions truthfully. I answered all their questions truthfully. Potentially, potentially. Clearly, this is a potentially dangerous situation. Clearly, this is a potentially dangerous situation. Lightly, lightly. I touched him lightly on the arm. I touched him lightly on the arm. Vaguely, vaguely. I vaguely remember hearing him come in. I vaguely remember hearing him come in. Terribly, terribly. I'm terribly sorry to have kept you waiting. I'm terribly sorry to have kept you waiting. Swiftly, swiftly. The police must be able to react swiftly in an emergency. The police must be able to react swiftly in an emergency. Gratefully, gratefully. I gratefully took the cup of coffee she offered me. I gratefully took the cup of coffee she offered me. Wisely, wisely. They've invested their money wisely. They've invested their money wisely. Innocently, innocently. He had innocently walked into a private dispute. He had innocently walked into a private dispute. Abnormally, abnormally. The kitchen is almost abnormally clean and tidy. The kitchen is almost abnormally clean and tidy. Boldly, boldly. He stepped boldly forward to speak. He stepped boldly forward to speak. Evenly, evenly. Apply the glue evenly over both surfaces. Apply the glue evenly over both surfaces. Recklessly, recklessly. The car swerved about recklessly in the bus lane. The car swerved about recklessly in the bus lane. Wildly, wildly. All the maps we had were wildly inaccurate. All the maps we had were wildly inaccurate. Suggest, suggest. The evidence seems to suggest that he did steal the money. The evidence seems to suggest that he did steal the money. Belong, belong. I used to belong to a tennis club when I was a teenager. I used to belong to a tennis club when I was a teenager. Avoid, avoid. I try to avoid supermarkets on Saturdays. They're always so busy. I try to avoid supermarkets on Saturdays. They're always so busy. Require, require. These pets require a lot of care and attention. These pets require a lot of care and attention. Borrow, borrow. I've arranged that we can borrow their car. I've arranged that we can borrow their car. Come, come. Remind her to come earlier tomorrow morning. Remind her to come earlier tomorrow morning. Explain, explain. She began to explain her plan of action to the group. she began to explain her plan of action to the group. Decide, decide. It was difficult to decide between the various options. It was difficult to decide between the various options. Forget, forget. It was thoughtless of you to forget your sister's birthday. It was thoughtless of you to forget your sister's birthday. Open, open. Some banks make it difficult to open an account. Some banks make it difficult to open an account. Push, push. Our car broke down and we had to push it off the road. Our car broke down and we had to push it off the road. Smell, smell. He hadn't washed for days and was beginning to smell. He hadn't washed for days and was beginning to smell. Wait, wait. They had to wait until Monday to call the bank manager. They had to wait until Monday to call the bank manager. Oh, oh. You owe him an apology for what you said. You owe him an apology for what you said. No, no. I'd like to know the reason why you're so late. I'd like to know the reason why you're so late. Ignore, ignore. He continued to ignore everything I was saying. He continued to ignore everything I was saying. Happen, happen. This wasn't how it was supposed to happen. This wasn't how it was supposed to happen. Give, give. He was unable to give a credible explanation for his behaviour. He was unable to give a credible explanation for his behaviour. Follow, follow. She hired a private detective to follow her husband. She hired a private detective to follow her husband. Create, create. The government plans to create more jobs for young people. The government plans to create more jobs for young people. Enable, enable. Only teamwork will enable us to get the job done on time. Only teamwork will enable us to get the job done on time. Discuss, discuss. I have no desire to discuss the matter further. I have no desire to discuss the matter further. Choose, choose. It's hard to choose between the two candidates. It's hard to choose between the two candidates. Promise, promise. You've got to promise not to say a word to anyone. You've got to promise not to say a word to anyone. Explore, explore. Management needs to explore ways of improving office security. Management needs to explore ways of improving office security. Accept, accept. She refused to accept that there was a problem. She refused to accept that there was a problem. Contain, contain. Some magazines contain nothing but scandal and gossip. Some magazines contain nothing but scandal and gossip. Keep, keep. I'm under instructions to keep my speech short. I'm under instructions to keep my speech short. Allow, allow. Most stores will allow the purchaser to exchange goods. Most stores will allow the purchaser to exchange goods. Guess, guess. I'm never going to guess the answer if you don't give me a clue. I'm never going to guess the answer if you don't give me a clue. Earn, earn. I'm just trying to earn an honest living. I'm just trying to earn an honest living. Damage, damage. I did not want to damage these walls by trying to climb over them. I did not want to damage these walls by trying to climb over them. Laugh, laugh. I was watching them and trying not to laugh. I was watching them and trying not to laugh. Complete, complete. All the students were asked to complete a questionnaire. All the students were asked to complete a questionnaire. Increase, increase. We plan to increase our exports over the next 5 years. We plan to increase our exports over the next 5 years. Prefer, prefer. Generally, I prefer painting with watercolours. Generally, I prefer painting with watercolours. Show, show. Sales figures continue to show signs of improvement. Sales figures continue to show signs of improvement. Attempt, attempt. It is simply ridiculous to attempt such a thing. It is simply ridiculous to attempt such a thing. Think, think. She said she needed time to think it over. She said she needed time to think it over. Remove, remove. Pass the sauce through a sieve to remove any lumps. Pass the sauce through a sieve to remove any lumps. Leave, leave. What time do you want to leave? What time do you want to leave? Arrange, arrange. We've still got to arrange how to get to the airport. We've still got to arrange how to get to the airport. Watch, watch. Everybody wanted to watch the football match. Everybody wanted to watch the football match. Turn, turn. There was a queue of traffic waiting to turn right. There was a queue of traffic waiting to turn right. Wonder, wonder. I wonder if you'd be kind enough to call him. I wonder if you'd be kind enough to call him. Compare, compare. It is particularly interesting to compare the two versions. It is particularly interesting to compare the two versions. Admire, admire. He stepped back to admire the painting. He stepped back to admire the painting. Break, break. I didn't mean to break it. It was an accident. I didn't mean to break it. It was an accident. Collect, collect. We arranged for a car to collect us from the airport. We arranged for a car to collect us from the airport. Decorate, decorate. The boys are planning to decorate when they get the chance. The boys are planning to decorate when they get the chance. Agree, agree. I had to use all my powers of persuasion to get her to agree. I had to use all my powers of persuasion to get her to agree. Brush, brush. She stood up to brush the crumbs off her uniform. She stood up to brush the crumbs off her uniform. Continue, continue. Do you intend to continue your studies? Do you intend to continue your studies? Taste, taste. Do not expect these wines to taste like champagne. Do not expect these wines to taste like champagne. Repeat, repeat. I trust you not to repeat that to anyone else. I trust you not to repeat that to anyone else. Manage, manage. Joking aside, will you be able to manage on your own? Joking aside, will you be able to manage on your own? Pack, pack. We only had time to pack a few essentials. We only had time to pack a few essentials. Dress, dress. The little boy isn't old enough to dress himself. The little boy isn't old enough to dress himself. Review, review. Remember to review your lessons before you go to bed. Remember to review your lessons before you go to bed. Imagine, imagine. I can't begin to imagine how awful it must have been. I can't begin to imagine how awful it must have been. Freeze, freeze. When the chicken is cooked, I'll freeze some. When the chicken is cooked, I'll freeze some. Bake, bake. Cover the fish loosely with foil and bake for 30 minutes. Cover the fish loosely with foil and bake for 30 minutes. Close, close. Many local shops will be forced to close if the new supermarket is built. Many local shops will be forced to close if the new supermarket is built. Exercise, exercise. It's important to exercise regularly. It's important to exercise regularly. Build, build. They have permission to build 200 new houses. They have permission to build 200 new houses. Fall, fall. Her baby teeth are starting to fall out. Her baby teeth are starting to fall out. Catch, catch. She managed to catch the keys as they fell. She managed to catch the keys as they fell. Bring, bring. Don't forget to bring your books with you. Don't forget to bring your books with you. Influence, influence. I don't want to influence you. It must be your own decision. I don't want to influence you. It must be your own decision. Provide, provide. We are here to provide the public with a service. We are here to provide the public with a service. Realise, realise. Now people are starting to realise that he means business. Now people are starting to realise that he means business. Mention, mention. I promised never to mention the incident again. I promised never to mention the incident again. Would, would. It would be better if you took the bus. It would be better if you took the bus. Expect, expect. It's unreasonable to expect you to work 7 days a week. It's unreasonable to expect you to work 7 days a week. Ask, ask. I had no option but to ask him to leave. I had no option but to ask him to leave. Help, help. Sailors have special equipment to help them navigate. Sailors have special equipment to help them navigate. Locate, locate. The police are still trying to locate the suspect. The police are still trying to locate the suspect. Relax, relax. He needed to relax after the exertions of a busy day at work. He needed to relax after the exertions of a busy day at work. Claim, claim. No one came forward to claim the reward. No one came forward to claim the reward. Bother, bother. I'm terribly sorry to bother you at this hour. I'm terribly sorry to bother you at this hour. Want, want. I want to hear your explanation for being late. I want to hear your explanation for being late. Climb, climb. It's madness to climb in such bad weather. It's madness to climb in such bad weather. Disturb, disturb. If you get up early, try not to disturb everyone else. If you get up early, try not to disturb everyone else. Listen, listen. She likes to listen to music in her spare time. She likes to listen to music in her spare time. Shout, shout. I had to shout to make myself heard. I had to shout to make myself heard. Prove, prove. Are you just doing this to prove a point? Are you just doing this to prove a point? Wear, wear. The materials are soft and comfortable to wear. The materials are soft and comfortable to wear. Throw, throw. I can't afford to throw money away. I can't afford to throw money away. Believe, believe. Do you really expect me to believe you? Do you really expect me to believe you? Have, have. I have some work to do this evening. I have some work to do this evening. Weigh, weigh. The scales can be used to weigh other items, such as parcels. The scales can be used to weigh other items, such as parcels. Remember, remember. It's impossible to remember everyone's name. It's impossible to remember everyone's name. Understand, understand. I've been struggling to understand this article all afternoon. I've been struggling to understand this article all afternoon. Hurry, hurry. We need to hurry or we'll miss our flight. We need to hurry or we'll miss our flight. Insist, insist. They insist on playing their music late at night. They insist on playing their music late at night. Enjoy, enjoy. Take time to enjoy the simple things in life. Take time to enjoy the simple things in life. Consider, consider. I'd like some time to consider what to do next. I'd like some time to consider what to do next. Attend, attend. He was invited to attend a seminar in Paris. He was invited to attend a seminar in Paris. Become, become. He had become fed up with city life. He had become fed up with city life. Finish, finish. Today I intend to finish reading this book. Today I intend to finish reading this book.